The alarm systems across the monitoring station screamed warnings into the cold darkness of space. Every screen flashed red. Every sensor array pointed toward the same impossible reading. Something massive was approaching the outer edge of the Orion arm at speeds that should not exist. Tai Yang stood frozen before the main display, his diplomatic robes hanging loose around his thin frame. In 300 years of Galactic Council history, nothing like this had ever happened. The object moved faster than light itself, bending the laws of physics like they were suggestions rather than rules. His hands trembled as he reached for the emergency communication panel. Across the station, Sujin was already moving. The military commander had spent 40 years protecting this sector, and her instincts told her this was no natural phenomenon. She barked orders at her crew, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Defense fleets scrambled to positions. Weapon systems powered up. Every ship capable of fighting moved toward intercept coordinates. The council convened within the hour. Holographic projections filled the grand chamber as representatives from 100 worlds materialized above their designated platforms. Fear rippled through the assembly like electricity. The unknown vessel had not responded to any communication attempts. It simply continued its approach, silent and ominous. Tai Yang addressed the council, his voice steady despite his fear. "We must attempt peaceful contact. This could be a species we have never encountered. War should be our last option, not our first." Around him, some representatives nodded in agreement. Others looked skeptical. Sujin stepped forward, her military uniform crisp and formal. "Ambassador Tai Yang speaks with wisdom, but we cannot ignore the threat. This vessel violates our space without permission or explanation. Its power signatures exceed anything in our databases. If this is an invasion force, hesitation could cost billions of lives." The debate raged for hours. Scientists presented their findings, which only deepened the mystery. The vessel measured nearly 3 kilometers in length. Its hull absorbed sensor scans revealing almost nothing about its internal structure. The energy readings suggested power sources capable of destroying planets. Some council members argued for immediate military action. Others insisted on patience and diplomacy. Elder Corvin, one of the founding members of the council, finally raised his hand for silence. His ancient voice carried weight that ended arguments. "We will do both. Sujin will position her fleets defensively. Tai Yang will continue attempting contact. We prepare for war while hoping for peace." The massive vessel continued its approach. Days passed in tense anticipation. Sujin's fleets formed defensive lines, their weapons trained on the approaching ship. The military forces of 50 worlds gathered together, creating the largest defensive formation in council history. Still, looking at the tactical displays, Sujin felt a cold certainty in her gut. If this vessel proved hostile, they were hopelessly outmatched. Scientists worked around the clock, analyzing every scrap of data they could gather. The vessel's design was unlike anything in the galactic archives. Smooth lines and angular surfaces suggested a culture obsessed with efficiency. The materials composing its hull reflected almost no radiation. It was a ghost ship, visible but untouchable by their sensors. Dr. Hanul, one of the council's leading scientists, discovered something that made the situation even more disturbing. The vessel was not alone. Deep scans revealed subtle distortions in space behind the approaching ship. At least 7 more vessels followed in its wake, their signatures barely detectable. The unknown species had sent a fleet, not a single explorer. When this information reached the council, panic spread like wildfire. Representatives who had argued for patience now demanded action. Those who had called for military strikes now questioned whether they possessed the strength to win. Sujin increased her defensive formations, but privately she wondered what weapons could stop such advanced technology. Tai Yang continued his attempts at communication, broadcasting messages in every known language. He used mathematical formulas, universal constants, even simple pictographic representations. The void gave no answer. The vessel simply continued its steady approach, now less than 2 days from council space. On the 3rd week of silence, everything changed. Tai Yang was preparing another communication attempt when his console came alive. A response. The message came in multiple languages, some the council had never encountered. The translation system struggled to process the complexity, but the meaning came through clearly enough. "This is Captain Hyunwoo of the Terran Defense Fleet. We come in peace, but we come prepared." The words sent shockwaves through the council. Terran, human, a species entirely unknown to the galactic database. Questions exploded across every communication channel. Where was Terra? How had an advanced civilization remained hidden? Why reveal themselves now? Sujin immediately ordered her tactical teams to search their databases for any reference to Terra or humans. They found nothing. This species had appeared from nowhere, possessing technology that exceeded the Council's greatest achievements. The implications were staggering. Taeyang composed his response carefully, choosing each word with diplomatic precision. Captain Hyunwoo, this is Ambassador Taeyang of the Galactic Council. We welcome peaceful contact. Please state your intentions and origin. We mean you no harm. The response came quickly this time. Ambassador, we will dock with your station in 6 hours. Prepare a delegation. There is much to discuss and time is precious. The Council erupted into chaos. Some demanded the humans be denied access. Others insisted on military escorts. Elder Corvin restored order with a single gesture. We will meet them. Sujin, your fleets remain on alert. Taeyang, you will lead the delegation. This is the moment that will define our future. The next 6 hours passed in frantic preparation. Taeyang assembled his team carefully. Xenobiologists, linguists, military observers, and cultural specialists. Everyone wore concealed communicators linked directly to the command center. Sujin positioned her fastest ships nearby, ready to intervene if the meeting turned hostile. When the human vessel finally came into visual range, it stole the breath from every observer. The ship was beautiful and terrible at once. Its hull gleamed dark against the stars, covered in armor that seemed to drink in light. Weapons ports dotted its surface like stars in a constellation. This was not an exploration vessel. It was a warship built for one purpose. The vessel docked with the station, its massive bulk dwarfing the Council's structures. Airlock seals engaged, pressure equalized. Ambassador Taeyang stood at the entrance, his diplomatic team arrayed behind him. His heart beat rapidly in his chest. Behind him, Sujin watched through security feeds, her hand near the emergency alert button. The airlock opened. Captain Hyunwoo stepped through, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Hyunwoo looked remarkably similar to several Council species. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head positioned atop a strong frame. But there was something different about him that Taeyang noticed immediately. The human moved with contained power, like a predator comfortable in its own skin. His eyes scanned the reception area with tactical precision, missing nothing. Behind Hyunwoo came his crew. A woman in a white uniform with scientific insignia approached and bowed slightly. I am Dr. Jiwon, Chief Science Officer. We are grateful for your willingness to meet us. Her voice carried warmth that slightly eased the tension in the air. Another human followed, younger but wearing weapons officer markings. Lieutenant Min Seo kept her hand near her sidearm, her eyes constantly moving. Taeyang noted that all the humans shared this alertness. They were friendly but ready, peaceful but prepared. The diplomatic procession moved through the station's corridors. Taeyang walked beside Captain Hyunwoo, attempting small conversation. Your ship is impressive, Captain. We have never seen designs like this. Where does your species originate? Hyunwoo smiled, but there was something sad in his expression. Earth, a blue planet far from here in a region of space your people have not explored. We have watched you for some time, Ambassador. We know about the Galactic Council. We know your laws, your cultures, your histories. This revelation shocked Taeyang. You have been observing us? For how long? 18 months, Dr. Jiwon answered. We needed to understand who you were before making contact. First meetings can go badly if approached carelessly. They arrived at the observation deck, a massive chamber with transparent walls offering views of space. Taeyang's delegation spread out, their xenobiologists already recording data about human physiology and behavior. Then someone gasped and pointed toward the viewport. Behind the human warship that had docked with the station, 7 more vessels hung in space. Each one measured similar size to the first. Each one bristled with weapons. The humans had not sent a single ship. They had sent a fleet. Sujin's voice crackled through Taeyang's communicator. Ambassador, we are detecting 8 human warships in total. This changes everything. Elder Corvin had joined the delegation, and he stepped forward to address Captain Hyunwoo directly. Why did you hide these ships from us? The human captain met the elder's gaze without flinching. Because revealing 1 massive warship seemed less threatening than revealing 8. We wanted this conversation to happen. If we had shown our full strength immediately, your military would have attacked out of fear. He is probably right, Sujin admitted quietly through the communicator. Dr. Jiwan activated a holographic display, showing star charts and data streams. For 18 months we studied your communications. We learned your languages, your customs, your technologies. We remained hidden because we have learned painful lessons about first contact. The hologram shifted, showing images of Earth, beautiful blue oceans, green continents, white clouds swirling in atmospheric patterns. Cities stretched across the surface, their lights visible from orbit. Our world unified 50 years ago. After centuries of conflict, we learned that survival requires strength. Not strength to conquer, but strength to protect. Taeyang studied the images with fascination. Earth looked peaceful, but Dr. Jiwon's next words suggested a darker history. Humanity nearly destroyed itself multiple times. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, environmental collapse. We survived by learning to work together, but the lessons cost us dearly. A young communication specialist named Jae-hee stepped forward, her hands moving across a control panel. We come with gifts of knowledge and offers of friendship, but we also come with a warning. Before anyone could ask what she meant, Captain Hyunwoo gestured toward the viewport. Ambassador, with your permission, we would like to demonstrate something. There is an asteroid approximately 3 million kilometers from here. May we target it? Taeyang exchanged glances with Elder Corvin. The request seemed strange but harmless. Very well, Captain. Proceed. Hyunwoo spoke quietly into his communicator. Moments later, one of the human warships rotated in space. Ports opened along its hull, revealing weapons that made Council observers gasp. Energy built visibly along the barrel assemblies, creating distortions in space itself. The warship fired. Beams of concentrated energy lanced through the void, crossing 3 million kilometers in seconds. The asteroid, a rock half the size of a moon, simply vanished. One moment it existed. The next moment, only expanding vapor remained. Silence filled the observation deck. Taeyang felt his blood run cold. That asteroid had been massive. The energy required to vaporize it completely exceeded the total output of most Council weapons platforms. And the humans had done it casually, almost effortlessly. Elder Corvin's voice shook slightly when he spoke. That is considerable firepower, Captain. That was one ship using approximately 10% of its total weapons capacity, Hyunwoo replied quietly. Multiply that by 8 ships. Then multiply again by the 300 ships currently in Earth's home system. Ambassador, we are not here to threaten you, but you need to understand what we bring to this meeting. Dr. Jiwan pulled up more data. Our technology developed along different paths than yours. We focused on efficiency, redundancy, and overwhelming force. Where you built for exploration and defense, we built for war. Not because we wanted to, but because our history taught us that those who forget how to fight do not survive long. Taeyang struggled to process this information. 300 warships, each capable of destroying moons. The Galactic Council's entire military force numbered perhaps 2,000 vessels, but none approached human capabilities. If the humans proved hostile, the Council could not stop them. Sujin's voice came through the communicator again, tight with controlled fear. Ambassador, my analysts confirm the demonstration. Single-ship strike capability exceeds our Dreadnought-class vessels. If they are telling truth about fleet size, they could conquer Council space within a year. Captain Hyunwoo seemed to sense the fear spreading through the delegation. He raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. We do not want conquest, Ambassador. Earth is rich in resources. We have everything we need at home. We revealed ourselves for a different reason. And what reason is that? Taeyang asked, though part of him feared the answer. Lieutenant Minseo worked a control panel, bringing up new images. The hologram showed deep space, far beyond any charted regions. Strange signals pulsed through the display, energy signatures that hurt to look at, destruction on scales that defied comprehension. Dr. Jiwan's voice dropped to nearly a whisper. 3 years ago, our deep space probes detected transmissions from beyond the galactic rim. We investigated. What we found terrified us. The images shifted again. Wreckage filled the screen. Dead worlds. Consumed stars. Technology scattered across light years like bones in a graveyard. Someone is coming, Ambassador. Something vast and hungry. They move from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything in their path, and they are heading here. Taeyang felt the deck seem to shift beneath his feet. How long do we have? Captain Hyunwoo's expression hardened.
14 months.
Maybe less. Elder Corvin stepped forward again. His ancient eyes studied the humans with new understanding. You built your fleet to fight this threat. That is why you come now. Yes, Hyunwoo confirmed. We have spent 3 years preparing, building ships, developing weapons, training crews. But we cannot face this enemy alone. Neither can you. Separately, we all fall. Together, we might survive. The observation deck fell silent. Everyone present understood that everything had changed. First contact was not just a meeting between species. It was the beginning of a war for survival itself. Taeyang looked at the human captain, seeing him with new eyes. What do you need from us, Captain Hyunwoo? Unity, Ambassador. We need the Council to believe the threat. We need them to prepare for war. And we need to work together, because the enemy we face shows no mercy to anyone. Before Taeyang could respond, alarms began screaming throughout the station. Sujin's voice came through, filled with urgency and fear. Ambassador, we have a contact. Unknown vessel detected at the edge of Council space. Energy signatures match nothing in our database. It is attacking the mining colony on Frontier 7. Dr. Jiwon checked her scanner, then looked up with horror in her eyes. That is a Harvester scout. They are early. The war has already begun. The bridge of the human warship Indomitable became a storm of controlled chaos. Captain Hyunwoo moved quickly from the observation deck to his command center, with Ambassador Taeyang and Elder Corvin following close behind. Screens lit up with tactical data. Crew members shouted reports. The mining colony on Frontier 7 was under attack. Dr. Jiwon pulled up visual feeds from the colony's few remaining sensors. The images showed destruction beyond anything Taeyang had seen in his long diplomatic career. Buildings exploded into dust. Defensive shields collapsed like paper. The enemy vessel moved through the colony like death itself, methodical and unstoppable. Lieutenant Min Seo was already calculating jump coordinates. Captain, we can reach Frontier 7 in 40 minutes at maximum speed. Do it, Hyunwoo ordered. Contact Sujin. Tell her to bring whatever ships can keep pace with us. Move now. The Indomitable lurched as its engines engaged. The human warship tore through space at speeds that made Council observers gasp. Sujin scrambled her fastest vessels to follow, but most fell behind immediately. Only 3 Council ships managed to match the human vessel's impossible velocity. During the journey, Dr. Jiwon briefed everyone on what they knew about the Harvesters. Her voice remained steady, professional, but fear lurked beneath her words. They call themselves Harvesters because that is what they do. They harvest everything: resources, technology, biological material. Nothing gets wasted. Everything gets absorbed into their collective. Images filled the screens around the bridge. Dead worlds, consumed civilizations. The Harvesters left nothing but silence in their wake. We estimate they have destroyed at least 40 different advanced species in this galaxy alone. Each attack follows the same pattern. Scouts arrive first, analyzing defenses and cataloging resources. Then the main fleet comes and consumes everything. Elder Corvin studied the data with growing horror. How many ships does their main fleet contain? Conservative estimates suggest 3,000 vessels, Dr. Jiwon replied. Each one larger than anything the Council has constructed. They do not negotiate. They do not retreat. They simply take. Taeyang felt cold settling into his bones. 3,000 ships. The Galactic Council's entire military strength would mean nothing against such numbers. Even with human help, the odds seemed impossible. The Indomitable dropped from faster-than-light travel near Frontier 7. What remained of the colony burned in the darkness of space. Debris fields marked where habitats had stood. Thousands of lives snuffed out in minutes. The enemy scout ship had already vanished, leaving only destruction in its wake. Sujin's voice came through on the communication channel. Her 3 ships had just arrived, their crews struggling to process what they were seeing. 3,000 colonists lived here this morning. Now there is nothing. Captain Hyunwoo stood rigid at his command station. Scan for survivors. Check every piece of debris. If anyone is alive, we pull them out. For 6 hours, the combined force searched the wreckage. They found 47 survivors trapped in reinforced sections of the colony. Rescue teams worked frantically to extract them before their life support failed. Each survivor told the same story. The enemy ship appeared without warning. Their weapons cut through defensive shields instantly. Nothing the colony tried made any difference. One survivor, a mining engineer named Palsu, grabbed Taeyang's arm as medical teams carried him to safety. It did not even slow down. We threw everything we had at that ship. Every weapon, every defense. It ignored us like we were insects. Tears streamed down Palsu's face. My family was in Habitat 12. It is gone. They are gone. The words hit Taeyang harder than any report. This was not abstract anymore. Real people were dying. Families were being destroyed. And according to Dr. Ji-won, this was only the beginning. Back aboard the Indomitable, Captain Hyun-woo called an emergency conference. Representatives from across council space joined via holographic projection. The grand chamber filled with images of worried leaders from 100 worlds. Speaker Thalna, the council's political leader, opened the session with formal words that felt hollow given the circumstances. Dr. Ji-won presented her evidence to the full council. She showed recordings from Earth's deep space probes, images of destroyed civilizations, data on harvester technology and tactics. Some council members watched with growing fear. Others refused to believe, calling it manipulation designed to position humans as saviors. A representative from a wealthy core world stood up, his voice dripping with skepticism. How convenient that these humans arrive with warnings just as mysterious enemies appear. Perhaps the humans themselves are the threat, manufacturing fear to control us. Before anyone could respond, Lieutenant Commander Dong Hyun, the Indomitable's intelligence officer, stepped forward. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke, but when he did, people listened. We have decoded fragments of Harvester communications. With your permission, I will play them. The chamber fell silent. Dong Hyun activated an audio file. Strange sounds filled the space, grinding and harsh. Then came the translation, rendered in cold mechanical tones. Resource concentration detected. Extraction efficiency rated optimal. Begin harvesting procedures. Resistance is irrelevant. Consumption is inevitable. The recording continued for several minutes. Each word drove home the horrifying truth. The harvesters viewed all other species as nothing more than resources to be collected. They did not hate. They did not fear. They simply consumed, moving from galaxy to galaxy in an eternal cycle. When the recording ended, the chamber remained silent. The skeptical representative sat down slowly, his face pale. Speaker Thalna gripped the edges of her podium with shaking hands. Elder Corvin addressed the assembly, his ancient voice carrying weight that silenced all debate. The evidence is clear. The threat is real. We must decide now how we will face it. Will we die separately, each species fighting alone, or will we stand together? The debate that followed lasted 12 hours. Some representatives wanted to evacuate immediately, fleeing to other galaxies. Captain Hyun-woo explained why that would not work. The harvesters move between galaxies regularly. Running only delays the inevitable. We must fight. Others questioned whether humanity could truly help. Commander Soo-jin, who had initially been suspicious of the humans, spoke up surprisingly in their defense. I have seen their technology firsthand. One human warship destroyed an asteroid half the size of a moon with a casual demonstration. If they say they can help us fight, I believe them. Captain Hyun-woo revealed the full extent of Earth's preparations. We have 300 warships ready for deployment. Each one equipped with weapons designed specifically to counter harvester technology. Our scientists have studied their defenses and found weaknesses. We cannot guarantee victory, but we can offer a fighting chance. What do you want in return? Asked a representative from a merchant guild world, his business instincts obvious even in crisis. The question made Hyun-woo smile sadly. We want survival. If the council falls, Earth falls eventually. The harvesters will not stop with your space. They will find us, and we cannot defeat them alone. We need your resources, your manufacturing capabilities, your personnel. Together, we build a fleet strong enough to hold the line. Elder Corvin proposed a formal alliance. 50 worlds voted to join immediately. Others remained uncertain, wanting more time to consider. Speaker Thalna cut through the indecision with sharp words. Time is a luxury we do not have. The scout ship that attacked Frontier 7 is out there somewhere, reporting back to the main fleet. They know about us now. They will come. As if the universe wanted to emphasize her point, alarms suddenly blared across the chamber. Dr. Ji-won checked her scanner and looked up with stricken expression. Long-range sensors have detected the Harvester main fleet. They are 4 months ahead of projected arrival time. Estimated time to reach council space is 6 weeks. The chamber erupted in panic. Representatives shouted at each other. Some called for immediate evacuation, others demanded military action. Speaker Thalna struggled to maintain order. Captain Hyunwoo walked to the center of the chamber, his presence commanding attention. 6 weeks. That is how long we have to prepare. Earth's fleet is already en route to Council space. Admiral Wu Jin leads them and will arrive in 10 days with 100 additional warships. Between now and then, we need the Council to commit. Commit resources. Commit ships. Commit people, because in 6 weeks the harvesters arrive, and when they do, we must be ready to hit them with everything we have. Taeyang stepped forward to stand beside the human captain. Captain Hyunwoo speaks the truth. I vote for full alliance with Earth. Let us prepare for war. One by one, representatives cast their votes. When the final count came in, 70 worlds had committed to the alliance. It was not enough, but it was a start. As the session ended, Commander Su Jin approached Captain Hyunwoo privately. Can we really win this? The human captain looked at the tactical displays showing the approaching enemy fleet. Honestly, I do not know, but we will fight, and we will make them pay for every inch they take. The shipyards above Council Prime became a hive of frantic activity. Hundreds of vessels filled the orbital space, undergoing rapid modifications. Engineer Boram stood in the center of the largest construction bay, surrounded by both human and alien workers. Her engineering crews worked 18-hour shifts, racing against a clock that counted down to extinction. The challenge was immense. Council ships were not designed for the type of warfare humans practiced. Their hulls lacked the structural reinforcement to mount heavy human weapons. Their power systems could not generate enough energy to run advanced shielding. Everything needed modification, and they had only weeks to complete work that should take months. Boram ran her hands through her hair, exhausted but determined. A council engineer named Talrin approached her with design schematics. Chief Engineer, we have a problem. The destroyer-class vessels cannot accept the weapon mounts. The stress will tear them apart. She studied the plans, her mind racing through possibilities. Then we reinforce the frames with additional support beams. Yes, it will reduce their speed by 15%, but better slow and armed than fast and helpless. Dr. Jiwon and Dr. Hanyul worked together in the research laboratories, combining human and council science. The partnership proved surprisingly effective. Council understanding of exotic energy fields complemented human weapons technology. Together, they developed sensor systems capable of detecting harvester vessels before they struck. Look at this, Hanyul said excitedly, pointing to test results on her screen. If we modulate the scanning frequencies at these intervals, we can penetrate their stealth systems. G1 studied the data with growing hope. This is brilliant. How quickly can we install these sensors across the fleet? 2 weeks, maybe 3 if we push production. We have 6 weeks total. Push production. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Minseo faced her own challenges. Teaching Council military personnel human combat tactics proved frustrating. The cultural gap seemed impossible to bridge. Council doctrine emphasized defensive formations and measured responses. Human tactics demanded aggressive strikes and overwhelming force. In the training simulations, Council pilots consistently hesitated at critical moments. They pulled back when they should push forward. They sought to minimize casualties when the situation demanded accepting losses to achieve victory. After one particularly disastrous simulation, Minseo stopped the exercise and gathered all trainees in the briefing room. Her frustration leaked into her voice. You are all going to die. Do you understand that? The harvesters do not care about your hesitation. They do not appreciate your mercy. They will kill every single one of you while you debate the ethics of firing your weapons. A council pilot named Harjun raised his hand tentatively. Lieutenant, our culture teaches us to value all life. Aggressive tactics go against everything we believe. Minseo softened her tone slightly. I understand, but you must separate what you believe from what you must do to survive. The harvesters have no such conflicts. They exist to consume. You can maintain your values after we win, but first we must win. Over the following days, something shifted. The council trainees began to understand. They stopped thinking like explorers and started thinking like soldiers. The simulations improved. Casualties dropped. Tactical efficiency increased. Minseo watched with cautious optimism as her students transformed into warriors. 10 days after the attack on Frontier 7, Admiral Wu Jin arrived with Earth's reinforcement fleet. 100 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. The sight inspired awe across Council space. These were not explorers or merchants. These were weapons of war, built by a species that understood survival required strength. Wu Jin was older than Captain Hyun-woo, his hair gray, and his face marked by decades of military service. He brought not just ships but also a complete battle plan. Within hours of arrival, he established a unified command structure combining human and Council forces. The fleet assembled at a strategic location between star systems. This choke point would force the harvesters through a relatively narrow corridor, negating some of their numerical advantage. It was not ideal, but it was their best option. Captain Youngmi commanded the human warship Unyielding, and she proved to be a tactical genius. While Hyunwoo focused on overall strategy, Youngmi planned specific battle formations. She ran thousands of simulations testing every possible scenario. Her reports to Admiral Wu Jin were comprehensive and brilliant. During one strategy meeting, Youngmi presented an unorthodox approach. The harvesters rely on numerical superiority and overwhelming firepower. They expect us to try matching them ship for ship. We should not. Instead, we focus on their command vessels, cut off their coordination, and the fleet becomes less effective. Admiral Wu Jin studied her proposal carefully. This requires deep penetration into enemy formations. Casualties would be severe. Yes, sir, Youngmi acknowledged, but fighting them directly would result in total annihilation. This gives us a chance, the Admiral approved her plan. Strike teams began training for the risky mission. Lieutenant Minseo volunteered to lead one group. Her Council trainees, now considerably more capable, insisted on joining her. As preparations continued, Captain Hyunwoo spent his nights staring at tactical displays. The weight of command pressed down on him. Ambassador Tae Yang often joined him during these quiet hours, the two having formed an unlikely friendship. "You carry great burden, Captain," Tae Yang observed one evening. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "Humanity bet everything on this alliance. If we fail, Earth becomes a target. My decisions affect not just these ships but billions of people back home. You are not alone in this," Tae Yang reminded him. "The Council stands with you now. We fight together, I know. That makes the responsibility heavier, not lighter." The alliance grew stronger each day. Human engineers taught Council workers advanced manufacturing techniques. Council scientists shared their knowledge of exotic physics. Warriors from a dozen species trained together, learning to fight as a unified force rather than separate armies. Engineer Boram completed her modifications with 3 days to spare. The hybrid vessels looked strange, combining sleek Council designs with angular human weapons. But they worked. Tests showed the enhanced ships could hold their own against harvester technology. Dr. Ji-won and Dr. Hanul installed their new sensor systems across the entire fleet. The enhanced detection capabilities would give the Alliance precious seconds of warning before each engagement. In space combat, seconds often meant the difference between survival and death. Commander Su Jin took command of the Council forces in the center formation. She had learned much from working with the humans. Her naturally defensive instincts now balanced with the aggression necessary for victory. Admiral Wu Jin trusted her completely to hold the critical position. 2 days before the projected harvester arrival, the Allied fleet gathered in full formation. 800 ships total. 300 human warships formed the vanguard, their dark hulls absorbing starlight. 500 Council vessels spread in supporting formations, their crews tense but ready. Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at the assembled might of two civilizations united in purpose. It still might not be enough. Intelligence estimates put the harvester fleet at 3,000 vessels. The mathematics of warfare suggested the alliance would be overwhelmed, but mathematics did not account for courage. Numbers could not measure determination, and the harvesters had never faced an enemy that refused to surrender. Ambassador Tae Yang delivered a speech to the combined fleet, broadcast to every ship. His words resonated across species and cultures. "Today we stand together, not as humans or Council members, but as defenders of life itself. The enemy comes to take everything we are. We will show them that some things cannot be taken, some things must be defended. Today we fight, tomorrow we survive." The fleet erupted in cheers that crossed language barriers. Warriors from 100 worlds shouted defiance at the approaching darkness. Long-range sensors picked up the Harvester fleet exactly when predicted. 3,000 vessels moving in perfect coordination, each one bristling with weapons forged from the remains of conquered civilizations. Admiral Wu Jin gave the order that everyone knew was coming. All ships to battle stations. Prepare for combat. This is what we trained for. Make them bleed for every inch. Captain Hyunwoo added his own words to the fleet-wide channel. We are outnumbered. We are outgunned. But we have something they do not. We fight for each other. We fight for our homes. We fight for the right to exist. Today the galaxy learns that life does not yield easily. The waiting was finally over. The Harvesters approached, their fleet a dark wave sweeping through space. The Alliance held position, every weapon charged and ready. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Lieutenant Min Seo checked her weapon systems one final time. Engineer Bo-Ram monitored power distribution, ready to redirect energy where needed. Dr. Ji-won watched her sensors, tracking the enemy approach. Commander Soo-jin positioned her ships in the center. Captain Young-mi readied her strike teams, and Captain Hyunwoo gave the order that would echo through galactic history. All ships, fire at will. Space erupted in fire and light. The Harvester fleet hit the Alliance line like a tidal wave of destruction. Energy beams carved through the darkness, each one powerful enough to crack a planet's crust. The Allied fleet responded with coordinated fury, 800 ships firing as one. Captain Hyunwoo gripped his command chair as the Indomitable shuddered under incoming fire. Around him, his bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency. Lieutenant Min Seo called out target coordinates. Engineer Bo-Ram rerouted power to failing shield sections. Dr. Ji-won tracked enemy movements on her sensors. The human vanguard bore the brunt of the initial assault. 300 warships formed a wall of armor and weapons, absorbing punishment that would have shattered lesser vessels. Their dark hulls glowed red from impacts, but they held position. Behind them, Council ships added their firepower to the storm. Commander Soo-jin's center formation faced a concentrated enemy push. Harvester dreadnoughts broke through the outer screen, their weapons cutting down Council destroyers like wheat before a blade. Soo-jin ordered her ships to fall back and regroup, maintaining formation discipline even as vessels exploded around her. Captain, the center is buckling, reported Lieutenant Min Seo, her voice tight with controlled urgency. Hyunwoo made a quick decision. Order Squadron 7 to reinforce Soo-jin's position, and get me Captain Young-mi. Young-mi's face appeared on the communication screen, her expression focused despite the chaos. Captain, execute your strike plan, now. Young-mi nodded sharply. Strike teams, this is it. Follow me in. 20 fast human ships broke from the main formation, accelerating to impossible speeds. They were not the massive warships of the Vanguard, but smaller, faster vessels built for precision strikes. Lieutenant Min Seo led one team, her pilots following her with absolute trust. The strike teams penetrated deep into enemy territory. Harvester vessels turned to engage, but the human ships were too fast. They wove through enemy fire like needles through cloth, searching for their targets. Dr. Ji-won had identified the Harvester command vessels through weeks of analysis. They were larger than the others, positioned toward the rear of the enemy formation. These ships coordinated the fleet, sharing tactical data and processing power. Destroy them and the Harvester attack would lose cohesion. Young-mi's ship, the Swift Strike, reached the first command vessel. She ordered full weapon discharge at point-blank range. Energy beams tore into the enemy hull, penetrating shields that had seemed impenetrable from distance. The Harvester command ship buckled and exploded, sending debris across kilometers of space. First target eliminated, Young-mi reported, moving to target 2. But the Harvesters adapted quickly. They recognized the threat and redirected massive firepower toward the strike teams. 2 human ships vanished in explosions. 3 more took critical damage. Min Seo watched teammates die, but she pushed forward. Her target loomed ahead. All weapons, fire on my mark, she commanded her squadron. 3, 2, 1, mark. 6 ships fired simultaneously at a single point. The focused attack overwhelmed the command vessel's defenses. It broke apart in a cascade of secondary explosions. On the main battle line, the effect was immediate. Harvester coordination faltered. Ships that had moved in perfect unison now hesitated, confused. The Alliance pressed the advantage. All ships advance, Admiral Wu Jin ordered. Push them back. The Allied fleet surged forward. Human warships led the charge. their weapons creating corridors of destruction through enemy formations. Council vessels followed, their crews fighting with newfound ferocity. The teachings of Lieutenant Minseo had taken root. Council warriors no longer hesitated. They struck hard and moved fast, embracing human tactics. But the Harvesters were far from defeated. Their numerical advantage remained overwhelming. For every enemy ship destroyed, 3 more filled the gap. The Alliance was winning tactical victories but losing the strategic war of attrition. A massive Harvester dreadnought broke through Commander Su Jin's center line. The enemy ship was enormous, larger than any vessel either side had fielded. Its weapons had longer range and greater power than anything the Alliance possessed. In 30 seconds, it destroyed 12 Council ships. Su Jin's flagship took a direct hit. Shields collapsed. Hull sections vented atmosphere. Her crew scrambled to contain the damage, but another hit would finish them. Captain Hyunwoo saw the dreadnought crushing the center of his line. If it continued unchecked, the entire formation would collapse. He made a decision that would define the battle. Boram, divert all power to forward shields and engines. Everything. The chief engineer understood immediately what he planned. Her face went pale. Captain, that will leave us defenseless everywhere else. Do it. Ambassador Tae Yang, who had remained on the bridge throughout the battle, grabbed Hyunwoo's arm. What are you doing? Something probably insane, the captain replied. Hold on to something. The Indomitable accelerated directly toward the Harvester dreadnought. Power flowed into forward shields and engines, leaving the sides and rear completely exposed. The massive human warship became a missile, aimed at the heart of the enemy. Harvester weapons hammered the Indomitable from all directions. The unshielded rear sections took tremendous damage. Fires broke out across multiple decks. Crew members died at their stations. But the ship kept moving, picking up speed. Prepare for impact, Hyunwoo ordered calmly. At the last possible moment, the Indomitable fired every forward weapon simultaneously. The concentrated barrage hit the Harvester dreadnought's shields at point-blank range. The shields collapsed, and 3 kilometers of human warship slammed into the enemy vessel at combat speed. The impact was catastrophic. The Harvester dreadnought's hull crumpled like paper. Internal explosions ripped through its structure. The Indomitable tore through the enemy ship like a spear through flesh, emerging from the other side trailing debris and fire. On the bridge, emergency alarms screamed. Half the systems had failed, but they had survived, and the Harvester dreadnought was nothing but expanding wreckage. Damage report, Hyunwoo called out, coughing from smoke filling the bridge. Boram checked her systems, amazed they still functioned. Forward sections intact. Midship taking heavy damage. Engines at 40%. Weapons at 60%. Captain, we should withdraw for repairs. Negative. We finish this fight. The destruction of the massive dreadnought sent shockwaves through both fleets. The Alliance forces rallied, inspired by the Indomitable's sacrifice. The Harvesters hesitated, their formations disrupting further as more command vessels fell to Captain Youngmi's strike teams. Dr. Ji-won made a critical discovery during the chaos. Captain, I am detecting unusual patterns in their communications. The Harvester ships are networked together, sharing processing power. Dr. Hanul joined the conversation through the communication system, her voice excited despite the battle raging around her ship. If they are networked, we can potentially inject a virus. Disrupt their systems from within. Ji-won worked frantically at her console. I am modifying a data packet. If we can get close enough to transmit directly into their network, do it, Hyunwoo authorized. The Indomitable limped toward a cluster of Harvester vessels, using its remaining weapons to force a path through. At close range, Dr. Ji-won transmitted her virus directly into an enemy ship's systems. The packet spread through the network like fire through dry grass. Harvester ships began malfunctioning. Weapons fired randomly. Engines failed. Entire vessels went dark as their systems crashed. The virus spread exponentially, affecting hundreds of ships within minutes. Admiral Wu Jin saw the opportunity and seized it. All ships, full advance. Hit them now while they are disrupted. The Allied fleet charged forward. Human warships and council vessels fought side by side, their combined strength overwhelming the confused enemy. Harvester ships tried to retreat, but the Alliance pursued relentlessly. 6 days of hunting followed, the Allied fleet systematically destroying enemy stragglers. When it finally ended, debris filled space for millions of kilometers. The Harvester fleet was broken, reduced from 3,000 vessels to scattered remnants that fled beyond the galactic rim. The Alliance had won, but the cost was staggering. 173 Allied ships destroyed. 84,000 lives lost, both human and alien. Entire crews wiped out in seconds. Friends, colleagues, warriors who had trained together and died together. Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the heavily damaged Indomitable, looking at the debris field that marked their victory. Bodies floated among the wreckage. Ships that would never return home. The price of survival. Ambassador Taeyang approached quietly, his own injuries bandaged. "We won. At what cost?" Hyunwoo replied, his voice hollow. "The cost of survival, which is always too high but necessary." A message came through from the Galactic Council. Speaker Thalna appeared on the screen, her face marked by tears. "Captain Hyunwoo, on behalf of the Council, I extend humanity's offer of full membership. You will have representation equal to our founding species. More importantly, you have our eternal gratitude and friendship." Hyunwoo bowed slightly. "We are honored, Speaker Thalna. The Alliance proved stronger than either of us alone. That is a lesson worth remembering." 3 months later, Captain Hyunwoo returned to Earth. The homecoming was bittersweet.